Hi, I'm BRIE with Magic Image Hollywood Magazine, and today it is my privilege to sit down with noted casting director Bill Dance of Bill Dance Casting. He has worked on Academy Award-winning films like A Beautiful Mind, Emmy Award-winning TV shows like Mad Men, and basically his list of credits reads like a who's who of Hollywood, essentially. So, welcome, Bill. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
It's my pleasure.
So I really want to start kind of with how you got started in the industry, because Magic Image is kind of about promoting the up-and-coming performer. And what a lot of people aren't going to know about you is you actually started and are a performer. So why don't you just briefly tell us about your entrance into the business?
Well, I actually started dancing when I was 3.
Dancing?
I'm from Virginia. My twin brother and I used to dance together. And then at the old age of 8, my twin brother stopped, and I loved it. I continued studying. And so I studied in high school, and then once I graduated high school, I was already with the Richmond Ballet in Virginia. And I knew I wanted to dance and perform, so then once I graduated high school, I got accepted into UCLA's Theater Arts Department at that time. So at 18, I traveled west and went to school out here. And while I was going to school, I continued to study outside and started to work professionally as a dancer. And then I graduated from UCLA, and then it gave me a chance to really perform. One of the shows that I take great pride in auditioning for was Gene Kelly's Salute to Broadway.
I can't even imagine.
And there were 200 guys that auditioned, and I didn't feel well that day. I was sick, and you know, you just kind of dragged yourself to the audition, and I was lying on the floor waiting for Mr. Kelly to come, and his Ron Field, who also worked with him at that time, he was a well-known Broadway choreographer. And I auditioned, there were 200 guys, and they narrowed it down to 3 of us. And then we had to keep auditioning, and then they said, we'll let you know at 6:30 tonight. I go home, 6:30 arrives, no phone call. And I thought, well, you could have told me whether I got it or not. So finally Sunday came, no phone call, and at this point you're just really kind of upset and distressed and go, well, just call me and tell me I didn't get it. Monday morning comes, I go to another audition, and when I came home, my roommate said, these people have been trying to get you, they want you. And I said, you're kidding me. So I had to rush down, and that led to that job.
Yeah, before the age of cell phones, when it was instantaneous contact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had to wait, and you had to get the phone call when you got home. Yeah. So that was a big show that I did. Howard Keir was in it, Ken Berry. There were only 10 of us in this Broadway show. And Kelly sent me a telegram opening night, and I have saved this all these years. He said, Bill, dance, dance, dance. Good luck, Gene Kelly. And I have that framed in my home, so it's kind of special.
Definitely. It's kind of like the golden age of cinema. I know that I grew up with my dad's movie love, so we watched Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, and I just don't think they make those kinds of movies quite like they used to anymore.
Well, it's different. It's a different craft. Back then you had the studio system, and people had to train.
Right.
You had to take singing, acting, and dancing lessons. Women took modeling, deportment, speech, elocution. We don't have that today. And what I try to teach and what I try to show young people is that you have to train. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And even though you're very beautiful and you're a big fish in a small town and you come to Hollywood, you still have to have a craft and talent to be able to withstand a career. It does not happen overnight.
And obviously, look, you as a casting director looking for talent in this town, you're seeing tons of people come through your door.
Right.
What is the best advice that you would give an actor coming up in the industry as far as honing their craft and getting them prepared to actually really be a performer in this industry?
Well, I come from a theater background. Even though I'm in film and television, my first love is still the theater. It will always be the theater. And so what I tell people to do is, theater is an enormous training grounds. Even though theater and film are totally different techniques, in terms of energy and underplaying versus playing the back balcony in a theater, it gives you a discipline. To do 8 performances a week is very stressful. It takes a lot of discipline, and you have to know what you're doing to be able to repeat that performance night after night after night, month after month. Now in film, when you come from a theater background, you have to underplay in film. You have to make it, not as big and so forth. But it's still the discipline, the training, just like a dancer. When you take class every day, ballet class, whatever it is, it gives you a technique and a discipline to where you can handle things when they're thrown at you versus no technique whatsoever. And voice lessons and singing. People should be immersed in all forms of the art because one complements the other.
So definitely training their entire body, mind, spirit to be a performer.
And you constantly, even your consummate actors, are always learning and growing and studying and perfecting their craft. No matter how great they are, the more you learn, the more you feel, the more you know.
The more confident you are.
Yeah, and the more there's stuff that you don't know. It's that element of being a human being and just perfecting yourself at all times, whether it's going to the theater, watching good films, going to a museum, studying paintings. I think reading is very important too. I think we're losing the literacy of our great, great actors or people in general because we're texting. Everything becomes so fragmented, so technical, so quick, so non-human communication.
Face-to-face is
lost. That's right. And so where are we drawing off of one another? Where is that life? And kids now, everything is so slanted down that we're losing that. It's becoming so mechanical and so instantaneous versus human and real and crafted. Someone who knows what they're doing and they come up through the ranks perfecting their craft. And when I go to call on someone to do something, are you ready? Do you have 3 or 4 monologues that you could do right now?
Right off the bat.
Right, because you don't know when that opportunity is going to happen. So the thing is, you have to be prepared. And I find that some of the people are not. And you bring them in to read in front of the camera.
And they're not ready to go.
It's overwhelming. You can see the nerves. You can see that they just memorize the lines, and I'm not after the lines. I'm after the subtext, what's underneath what you're doing. And that's where the work really is.
Right. So how did you get from performer into the world of casting?
I really don't.
You just woke up one day and said, I'm going to be a casting director.
I think someone just literally picked me up and just dropped me. No, I stopped dancing at the old age of 25. I knew I had done it. I wanted more emotionally. I knew a dancer's life was short. I had done a lot of shows. I had partnered in a lot of leading ladies and so forth. I just wanted more emotionally out of it. And I knew that I had to move in another direction because once you're a dancer, people peg you as that. You're a dancer, dancers can't do anything else, that kind of thing. And I was out to disprove that because I knew I was a singer, studied opera as a singer, studied classical music when I was at UCLA. So I had this operatic voice as well as being a dancer. So that's where I could land a lot of roles because I could sing and dance both. But the acting is what I really wanted. That's, but I was young, didn't know myself. Accepting your emotions, all of that stuff is very difficult when you're growing up and when you're very sensitive. Like I'm a highly emotional person. So I actually got a call from a producer that I had met, and he said, I want you to stand in for this actor. This is many years ago. I was in my mid-20s. And I needed a job, so I did it. And I stood in for this actor on this pilot. It went about 10 days. And even though I was just standing there in front of the camera and being very quiet, I didn't realize that people were watching me. How I handled myself away from the camera, that I was always on time, that I was polite, that I was respectful, just being a person, basically. And when the project was over, this same producer, called me and said, I want you to do this on my next show. I said, do what? He said, I'll call you in about a week. So I got a phone call.
Another elusive phone call.
Yeah, and I said, okay, fine. I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand. And he said, I want you to do this on my next project. And he told me, and I went, but I've never done this. I think you can handle this. So it led to working with Alex Haley. And so he taught me so much about earthiness and realism and natural. And so,
which is one of the things that you're very noted for in this industry, which is casting very real, very actually with the period that the films are in, your projects, even just thinking about them, like Seabiscuit, Beautiful Mind, the thing that I recall from those pictures is you really feel like you are in that time period, you're living that life, and a lot of that has to do with what you actually specialize in casting, which is the background performer, the people that set the scene, the mood, the tone of the film. So what is just the creative process when someone says, here is this movie and it's up to you